Gee, that wasn't so good of a thumbnail. Sorry. Anyway, the JB Weld has set up on the 660 head. So we'll do some port work, some finishing up work, and yeah, see if we can get a pop on the 660. Put it back together. Um, for those people that are watching later, this is a bit boring. For those people that are watching during, a whole lot more fun. It's Sunday morning. Y'all should be in church. Just saying. Um, Hopefully, get some people to hang out this morning. We'll see. Gonna bring it up here on the phone. That way I can read comments. Last night I was not so good at doing comments. I apologize for that. Yeah, up early here. Sort of. I got quite a bit done yesterday. I got James, you go to church. That's fine. If you can watch during church, it'd be even better. You know, just don't let anybody see you. Just, you know. Anyway, I'll let you figure it out. Um, yeah. So one thing that I still need to fix is that ring, that lip around the top, and there's not much there. It's just a tiny bit, and it really is doing some piston slap. So hey Peter, how are you? Now see Ken, I'm not taking any responsibility for that because you got to turn your phone off, or check it at the door. Anyway, so yeah, the lip, there's a lip right at the edge, and let me see if I can show this. Hey Nikki, hope you got some sleep last night. Let me see if I can show this, and I don't know if I can. Okay, let me get a pointer here too. So right at the edge here, there's still just the teeniest lip, just tiny, and you really need to kind of scratch it away. Again, ideally with a boring bar, um, indicated on a lathe, but that's not what I got right now. So I was trying to think of what might work, and I had already played with this just a few minutes ago. This is a ball and diamond on my pencil attachment here, my pen attachment, and I think this is working pretty good actually. So I'm just going to go around and do that. Have a three done a flat pack garden. Is that where you pour the concrete, Nikki? Were you pouring concrete? Yep, I saw the Pats lose. Low scoring game. Low scoring game. Doesn't need to do much, just a teeny bit. That should give it enough room. Should give it enough room. These, the plating gets really fine shards, and you know, gets into things, especially in my hands. So yeah, I use gloves. Do they worry you, Mike? Do they? Man, I really hope that does it. Still got a chip on your shoulder? That's funny. Where did the piston still on there? Okay, what I might do is just bevel the piston slightly, but we're going to ignore that for now. Okay, let's go to the intake, which is filled in with JB Weld, and this I think turned out much better than the last go. And one thing that I noticed was the original piston that came in here is kind of loosey-goosey, which actually helps for using some aluminum foil on here and then pouring against that. Probably not the best for compression, but it certainly helps for getting aluminum foil on there. Okay, what we need now is I got to grind this. You know what? Let's put a ring in here. Let's put a ring in here. I'm going to get some of this stuff first. If I can put a ring in, it'll give me an idea of where I want to grind to. Take care, Nikki. Thanks for coming by. All right, so I'm going to put a ring in here, and I'm just going to visually kind of get it to where I think it'll be okay. Might be actually a little far, but a little too tall. But now I've got a flat line that I can grind to. Just looking at it, I think I need to grind to like the top of that line. Not the bottom of it. So if I grind all the black away here, this will hopefully work. Again, I've got height measured here. Now you can measure width too, depending on the width of your piston skirt. You can draw lines and all that stuff. Gives me an idea of how wide I can go. This is pretty wide. I've got a guide. Now I don't like going to the edge of the piston skirt. Millimeter or two away from the edge of the skirt is good. In general, I like a very square intake. The rings don't pass it, so you can make it nice and square and sharp, essentially. Which, personally, I think makes the valve most efficient. Logically compromised. Yeah, uh this is JB Weld in here. Personally, on a customer saw, I don't think I'd use JB Weld. Um, but for a play saw, why not? Can't be honest. I can't say exactly how well it holds up over time because I don't know. Um, what I do know is that from what I've read, Mastermind was using DevCon on an intake, which is quite expensive, or at least it was. Uh, DevCon aluminum filler, and then I think he switched back to JB Weld, but I don't know what the current consensus is as far as what material is best. JC Laundry, what's going on? Customers weld it. I don't think you can fill in an intake with weld. You're going to bubble the plating. It would be a case to go with an OEM head and leave it OEM instead of ported. Um, or choose a different saw to give to a customer. um, I I'm really not taking on customers at this point. I do work for my usual guys if need be, but I'm really not. I sell a saw occasionally, but something like this, you got to go. I don't know, you know. Yeah, maybe specialty epoxy would be okay on a customer saw. I really don't know. If I had to choose, if I had to make something for a customer, probably DevCon would be the thing at this point. But another alternative is just to say no, I can't, fill in intakes. And if you want all kinds of compression and this, that, the other thing, then maybe choose a different saw to work, to work on. Or see if you can find an OEM head that's better, or don't fill it in at all and just you get what you get. All kinds of different ways to go. Right now, I'm just fooling around here. The other stuff, the other head that I have, after 5 tanks, it was still there. So, Mason ran that thing hard. I just don't know about years and years and years of use. I will say that it certainly looks like using the aluminum foil on a loosey goosey piston works better than using a business card and just slapping it up against there. But the intake was at like 90 on this after I dropped it so much. So it's too much. Yes. Not done yet, but so I like right here this edge and this edge to be nice and square, if at all possible. The rest of it is, I think, less relevant. But as long as that and that are square, you just even out the rest of it best you can. And that way the full width of the skirt opens at the same time. And you get a nice, even, crisp gulp, you know.
Daddy, your omelets are ready.
My omelets are ready. Oh boy, thank you. Yeah, so the shape of the port is nice this way. Now I just have to make sure everything kind of from the actual line of the port back is smooth to the logically compromised. Think of it this way. I'm not a pro porter. I think I get reasonably good results, but I'm not a professional. I don't do this for a living. So think of this as more like me sharing what I've learned and messing around a bit and sharing my failures with you guys. I don't have to get this to work for a particular customer. You know, it has to work to satisfy my own curiosity, and it has to hopefully satisfy somebody else's curiosity in the sense of I have subscribers that watch. So um, there's that, but there's no uh, pressure necessarily of I have to get this to work, otherwise I'm going to have a customer that might not be happy because the customer is me in this case. um, so maybe there's more pressure there, you know. Maybe there's more pressure I put on myself than I would put anywhere else. You can look at that in a couple of different ways, you know. So yeah, I'm in general not doing this to sell. I'm not doing this for a living. I'm doing this for fun, and I'm trying to share what I learn with you guys best I can. Yeah, I don't want to make junk. That's I'm putting a lot of time into this. I don't want to have a junk cylinder. I don't want to have a junk head. Um, I do want to have a reasonably good result here, um, but it's not quite the same as if I was building this for somebody. If this was going to go into a tree service or something like that, it's going to be daily use. This is probably not exactly the way that I'd go. And truth be told, a few years ago, I probably would have done this and handed it to a tree service. But now, I'm kind of not there. You know, you kind of learn a little bit and say, okay, maybe you don't. You know, for certain applications, You don't want to do it this way. And you kind of learn as you go there. And guess who pays for those mistakes? I do, you know? Ultimately, I do. Which is why it's so important to have fun. You know? It really is. So important to have fun, learn as much as you can. There's still a little lip before I get to the actual opening, so I want to get rid of that. Yeah, if you're paying for it, you might as well have fun, you know? Let me show you where we're at. Oh boy, yeah, you're exactly right. There's all kinds of stuff working against you in a chainsaw. Temperature differentials, not just the heating and cooling of the saw itself, but also, you know, this can go into a really cold environment and get started and get hot quickly. We're not fully there here. Yeah, there's some funky lip here right before I get to the actual opening, so let's see if I can get rid of that. Right, there's oil, there's different materials, there's oils. Funky pressures and vibrations you're dealing with. Yeah, so one thing I did was I hit this with brake cleaner to maintain the bond. I hit it with brake cleaner, and I also notched with an inverted cone. Where's my inverted cone? I notched it in lots of little notches, almost golf balled it, but with an inverted cone. So there's lots of spots for it to really, really grab. Fine when it's 10 degrees outside, definitely warm up your chainsaw, plastic parts. Well, yeah. Like a dovetail, yep. But we've 10 degrees outside. Well, Stanley, some of the aftermarket plastics don't have glass fiber reinforcement in them, so they're more likely to shatter and break. pretty darn good, actually. About time to hit with the polish, I think. Get the polishers out. Let me do one more thing before I hit it with the polisher. I'll hit it with the bevels going here. Ball diamond, a large ball diamond for this. You can use a football too. Anybody here I haven't given a shout out to? It's a Sunday morning. Yeah, that looks nice. I might steal my okay. Handle. Okay. Oh, my omelets are cold. Hang on a second. Let me get my omelet. I'll be right back. Omelet break. There we go. Might as well have breakfast. Hey, Jonathan. All right, so next thing I do is get the polisher out. Get the flap sandpaper out, basically, and hit it with the 50 grit. Then hit it with the Scotch-Brite. Clean it. And then we'll put it on the head. So while I'm having my breakfast, how's everybody else doing? Sorry, just getting rid of some of my spam there. Hey, Ellie, how are you? Taking a quick breakfast break. JC, doing good? Good. This works. Well, I'll say this. My wife does make a fine omelet. Thank you, honey. I think it's going to be pretty rockin' soft. Or pretty rockin' head, whatever. Hey, Roger. Get in with the Chinese 660 and 360 to work. Okay. Roger, did you do anything to him? You know, I just wasn't a fan of the 360 when I put it together. Just didn't really do it for me. The 660 I can see. Makes sense. I think bang for buck wise, the 660 really, does it. Basically, when you're talking about cloning a saw that's like worth $1,000, there's a lot of wiggle room there to put parts into to make it really worth it, you know? Yeah, some people get the 360s to run great. I was just not that impressed. You know? Oh well. Meteor pistons seem to be really nice. Nice upgrade for these. Kind of counting on the fact that the plating will last here. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but it's not flaky. Some plating I use is really flaky. This doesn't tend to flake. What's also funny is some manufacturers, some days it's flaky, other days it's not. Weird. All right. I know. Stop screwing around, Matt. Okay. I gotta find that silly laptop thing. Let me do a little bit of organizing. It'll show up. Great. So to do a lot of the polishing, I have a screw. It's just a screw with a line down the middle, and it holds sandpaper pretty well. Get rid of that. Start putting some of this stuff away. That I made these out. Put this away. This I may need. That I may need. Back over here. I'll tell you what, staying organized is really hard. At least it is for me. Maybe you guys do a better job of it, but I have a hard time staying organized because moving from job to job to job, I just move so fast that suddenly the bench is clogged, you know? Here's my 220 grip. I will need that. a short trip here if I somehow lost that piece. Here's my 50 grit. Don't see it. Where did it go? I'm getting my bench clean, right? Oh, it's right here. Yeah. Should probably make a few more of these because they're really helpful. The 2 marks on the base. Finally to the eggs. My Hazel top failed. Try the highway big bore. Well, how did it fail, JC? How'd the Hazel top fail? What exactly went wrong? I guess I missed this. What's the 2 marks on the base? I was just kind of figuring out where the end of the skirt is. How wide to make the intake, basically. Good old 50 grit. Don't spin it too fast. There we go. Hit the exhaust first. And you can smooth this as much as you want. You know, whatever you want here. If you're the type of guy that believes that smooth exhaust is the best, then go for it. If you're the type of guy that believes that you want a little grit to a surface, hey Harry, how's it going? Good New Year, yeah. I go from different angles. Yeah, I think the intakes benefit from having some texture to them. I usually hit an intake with a 50 grit and then leave it beyond that. See, what I'm going to do with the JB here is I'm going to hit that with a the hone. Yeah, that's basically the conventional wisdom: is leave the intake at least textured, and then polish the exhaust pretty good. That's what I would consider conventional wisdom. You can use this to smooth other stuff too, you know? Not a big deal. As you thin out your sandpaper here, you can get into your lower transfers better. That looks nice. Right, yeah. Intake should be textured, exhaust polished. Is conventional wisdom, Mike. Yeah. So I only take the intake to 50 grit. I don't usually hit it with 220. Here's the 220. Just put this on the exhaust and spend a little bit of time there. And I'm going to crank up the speed just a little bit. And I'll probably be back in here some other date, so I don't need to have it all ultra polished. Take my thumb and run it down just to make sure it doesn't want to hook anything, you know, the exhaust port. And Mike, I'm going to use your polisher here in a second. Now, conventional wisdom says don't do this. But I have to because of that JB weld. I got to make sure it's smooth. Did I just pull this battery out of the charger? I guess that one's shot too. Great. Yeah, that evens out the JB weld right nice. Now I'm going to wash it, and I'm going to use Mike's Scotch-Brite here. Hang on. Just give it a quick wash. Just don't want tons of debris in here when I stick the Scotch-Brite in. Okay, so Mike sent me these Scotch-Brite barrels, or I don't know what you call them, but they fit great in like 394s and 660s. Yeah, there's all kinds of steps to do. I really thought I went around there enough, but maybe not. Maybe not. Where's my inverted cone again? Where did that thing go? This way. I think I'm good with this. Where did my inverted cone go? No. It is right here. Okay. I don't know about 215, but I think 190 is not out the question. Good. More Scotch-Brite. All right. JC, you never know. You never know how much prep work you got to do until you get in there and look at it. That's the thing with the aftermarket heads. You just don't know. The OEM heads, you can slap on and go and not worry about it. But any of the aftermarket heads, it's tough. Like how do you know whether or not the base is flat, like perpendicular to the bore? If it's off a little bit, you wreck the crank. You assume that they do everything in a jig and everything's good, but who knows? Let me give this a really good wash. I'll be back. pretty good, nice and clean. See, I'm basically of the opinion now that all aftermarket heads need at least some work before you put them on. Otherwise, you risk ring hookers and everything else. Then again, based on what you've seen, even if you do work on stuff, you get ring hookers. Right? Right. Good job, Matt. All right, let's check the timing and see where we ended up. Come on. There. Hey, Leonard. What's going on? 4:36. Oh, wow. Too late for you. I'm too early for you. Even OEM need checked and looked over. Yeah, Mike's not wrong. You're most likely to be able to slap on an OEM and that would be okay. But never hurts to check. Oh, that's perfect. What do we get? 99. I'm going to call that like actually 100. Maybe a little tighter. Yeah, 99. 99. Let's go around to the other side. 98. So 98, 99 is about where that's at. 99. Transfers are difficult at best to see. $90, $110, 119, 120. Let's go around to the other side. $90, $100, $110, $120, $121. Okay, so let's call it $120. And then the intake, let's see where that ended up. Do I need to grind more out of it? I need to grind on the flywheel side just a touch to make it even. But let's call it there. 79. That's perfect. That's just what we wanted. Just what we wanted. Okay. The exhaust is like perfect. Let me bring you guys over so you can see what I like to see. Okay. See how it opens in the dead center there first and then out to the sides evenly. That's right where I want it. So, and then I can look on my wheel and line it up with, this is my line here, so I line it up visually. I get an exact number. So then I can look in there and see where the transfer closes, and that's really hard to do. Let me bring it over and see if we can do intake. So there's the intake. Let me move it to where it's open. Yeah, okay. So, got the light. Okay, so you can see it's sort of cracked open. There. Move it down a little bit. Hang on. There. So you can also see it's a little bit too open on the PTO side. I have to adjust it just slightly on the flywheel side, and we'll call it a day on the port work. Hey, Craig. Ports appear good. No guarantee next one will not be. Right. That's the thing. You could say, okay, this one's good, but the next one, maybe not. Hey, Tom, you made it. Great. You know, I didn't check. Silly me. Hang on. No, there's no head slap there now. It's good. Okay. Little bit of grinding on the flywheel side, just a touch to get it a little more even. And that'll be it for the port work. AJP Garden Machines, how are you? Welcome. We're just finishing up a little bit of port work on the 660. Actually, you have to figure out how many hours I am into this. A bunch. It's a bunch. You can port the highway or it's up to you. It's up to you. It depends on what numbers it comes in at. You might say, hey, it looks pretty good. You put a degree wheel on it and see whether you should port it or not. This really wasn't that far off, so it doesn't need that much. Let me go give it a one final wash, and then I think we'll put it on the head and get the whole thing running. JC, another idea is just, run it. If it runs and you like it, don't worry about it. Hey Tim, welcome. Good morning. If it runs as good as you want it to run, then don't mess with it. Now the marks on the piston here won't matter a hoot, but it does need clips. And rings. So let's undo the wheel at this point. Don't need that. Throw that over here. I don't think the highway came. It came with rings, but no clips. Mike, are you still on? Can you tell me? We're doing marathon. Mike, can you tell me if these are 12 millimeter clips or 13 millimeter clips for the pin? .54 millimeter cabers. Because we want the best pop, you know. These are nice and flexy, actually. These are 1.2 millimeter instead of 1.5, so they're a little bit more flexible. The 1.5s are thicker, thicker this way, so not quite as flexy. These are a little more flexy. Yeah, Mike, if you're still on, do you know if this is a 12 millimeter pin or a 13 millimeter pin? And I'll just measure it. I think it's a 12 millimeter pin. .12 millimeter pin. So I need either 372 circlips or I need to use the aftermarket ones. I think I'll use the aftermarket ones, but I gotta grind off the ears. Don't like using the aftermarket clips. Do we have a clip in here? Ooh, I do have a clip in here. I'll bet the other clip is in the other piston. So what I'll do then I think those are 372 clips as opposed to 394 clips. So I'll use one of the aftermarket clips on the PTO side. Means ideally I gotta push this out. So this is an OEM 660 wrist pin, tapered pin, and it's an OEM pin bearing as well, which I highly recommend. So this does not have ears on it, so these are a little harder to do. With your pliers that are half mooned out for clips, you bring it around and you dive into that spot. Not saying it's easy. I don't know if Caber makes a wrist pin. Click. Nice. Good. That's not cut out now. This one will be easier. So now we can put this back here. Good time to oil things. Or WD-40 them. It's not really oil. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that argument. Pin fits nice and snug. No slop. This is a highway piston. And normally I like the Meteors, but this was a pop-up, so it gives me a little bit of an advantage because it's already popped up. Oh, I'll show you guys another way to do it. The other way to do this is to put the piston in here first, which makes at least some semblance of sense. And before I do that, let's put the intake boot on. I understand how you feel, Tom. You decide it's not worth that much money. Why do you put money into it, you know? What's the sense? Tight. Nice tight intake boot. Right, let's put the piston in. So one way to do this, especially if you're not using goop or whatever, you can put the piston in here first, and the benefit to that is it's easier to compress the rings and get it in, but B, you can make sure that the rings are exactly where you want them. So that it's not over the pin or anything like that. So you make sure the rings are exactly lined up how you want them. And forgive me, I forget who showed me this technique, but I've been tending to like it. There. We still have our impulse line in here. Everything else is in here. So you work the piston out as far as you can without the rings coming out. That way you have as much height as possible to work with. Pin bearing goes in. Now the trickiest part is getting this clip. Now you basically know that everything else here is good, you know. Click. Your circlip is in. Now our intake boot is slightly in the way, but we can move it out of the way because it's rubber. We'll just pull that through and then we'll cinch everything down. Just having the intake boot through here definitely helps. Okay. Now we line up our gasket. I know, I should have put all these in there first. On the Huskies, you don't need to do this. You don't need to put all the bolts in first. You can put them in later, effectively, but on the steel, it does tend to be a bit of an issue. There we go. About 22 thousandths, Harry. Oh. No goop at all on these gaskets. Check by hand. we'll hope that's good. Whew. Flywheel next. Let's get the flywheel out. Key goes in. Now this saw does have a bit of timing advance. Take about 20 thousandths off the key. And then move the flywheel forward effectively. You want to hit it with the impact, but don't tighten it with the impact. That's not the idea. You want to tighten it with the torque wrench. Good. A little bit of oil in here. And that'll be nice and smooth. That's on. Now we can do starter. Starter bolts. You looked at Harbor Freight for the drivers? Yeah, the T27 drivers I got on eBay. This T27 long driver I got on eBay in a kit. It's like $18 shipped. Now, next question is, how is this going to fit with that drop so much? Yeah, it looks like it'll go. One thing I could do, not absolute, but you could do some port matching on here. Yeah, for sure you could do. Because what happens is there's a lip that ends up there on the muffler. So you just grind away the muffler and get rid of the lip. You could do that. Don't have to. Are you leaving something on the table? Probably. Mixed Mars. We are just buttoning up a 660 that I ported again. Uh-oh. Are they Apex brand? I don't know. Sorry, Tim. I know I'm not that much help. I got. They had sets of them on eBay. I looked for long, like 6-inch T27 or something like that, or 6-inch Torx. I think that's how I searched for it. 6-inch Torx. Did you eat dinner? Okay. Might as well throw the decomp on here. There we go. I don't think I looked for T27. I think I looked for 6-inch Torx. And it's a set. It's more than just Torx. Put the intake stuff on here. Sealing rings on. Now I get to put the carburetor on. Yeah, but don't, yeah, okay, so if you can get the, like the Weeha, just the driver, but it comes in a kit, guys. Look, 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 look. It was like $18 shipped for this whole kit. Don't get the single. No point in just getting just the single, you know? So now it's basically just straight 660 assembly. I've had good luck with that one. So, you know, it might strip, it might not. It might be fine. Put the throttle on. Gas line's on. Throttle's on. Couple little nuts here that hold this adapter. Those go on. Good. Got the handle bolts here. Let's do this AV mount bolt here. Not need to be that tight. Put the new handlebar on. No, I don't fill up the transfers with JB Weld. They don't need to be filled. come out just fine. Shucks. Whoops. Forgot to take the bolts out of here first, and then I'll put them in. There. Yeah, this actually fits right tight. So this is a highway handle. This is considerably stiffer than the Farmer Tech. The Farmer Tech was just bendy. This is just way stiffer. Let's get a compression number. Tim, I have one too. Thank you. I just never need it. There's 190. That's 190. Considering I didn't actually cut the squish band on a lathe, I think that's pretty good. Check that after I check compression. Okay, if I've got compression, I know the rest of the saw runs, so not too worried about it. Let's get the top cover on here. Stronger magnet. We're going to hear soft pop. Don't worry. We'll get a pop. I know. Don't strip it out, right? That'd be bad. There it is. Now, if I can get Mason over here, he can take it and do his thing. So this is a 54 millimeter top end. I don't know exactly what the CC is, but for sure it's going to be something. Yeah. And, 200 pounds of compression is probably not out the realm of possible when this is broken in. Tight. Everything's back together. We'll see what Mason thinks and kind of go from there. Questions, comments, anything, thoughts, heckles. Thanks, Jonathan. Yeah, it should be fun. Jeez. There's your compression test. Look at that. Man. Uh-oh, she's locked. Why is she locked? She ran for a second. Locked. Why? Uh-oh. It's locked. Locked. What did I do wrong? Oh no. Right. Oh crap. Uh-oh. Easiest thing to do is actually pull the starter and check and see if the flywheel is locked. It popped. Oh, one thing I forgot. It was binding on the cylinder head. The flywheel's binding on the cylinder head because I dropped the head so far. So good news is I know exactly where it's binding. All I gotta do is grind a little bit off there. Puller again. Yeah, the flywheel is actually binding on the head. So now I just have to hope that there's enough meat on the head. I don't know if you guys can see it from there. I just have to hope there's enough meat on the head here to grind there and not end up with a leak. If we have a leak, we have a different problem, and I got to go inside, and I do have to JB weld it on the inside. But hopefully not. Well, that's tight. And it's just, one of those silly things. There's so many little things that you can easily overlook. I can put the flywheel back on. I'll go back and tighten that with the torque wrench. That was a little freaky. Take care, Jonathan. A little bit of a scare there. Oh yeah, this is for sure going for field testing. Most assuredly. There we go. There's your compression test. Not locked. Okay. Now I'll call it a day. This is going to go to Mason for field testing. Thanks everybody for watching. Do appreciate it. Ready to rock here. What else am I got going? Until I get this stuff back from Mason, get some stuff sold here, I don't have a whole lot more for you guys. The Jonathan has spoken for the that nice 272. If anybody's interested in that Ratty Tatty 268, that'd be great. Please let me know. You're welcome for Sunday morning entertainment. The 372, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with yet. That Porter 372 is a pretty hot little ticket, so I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. But we'll wait for the report from Mason, see if it's any good. Just give it 660 is alive. Just want to give Mason a quick report here. Going there. Okay. Just want to check and make sure there's nothing crazy going on otherwise. Okay. Anybody needs tools, let me know. Anybody wants parts, they can click on my HL Supply link. The affiliate link basically gives me credit if you go buy something. So, yeah. I appreciate that if you do that. And Ken and James, thanks for moderating. Appreciate you guys. Check out Ken's channel if you like small engine stuff. Oakley dokley. Enjoy your day, guys. Be safe, everybody. If there's any updates, I'll let you know. Take care, guys. Bye.